Hello, my name is Andrew Thake from Minds and Money. Delighted to be joined today by Mark Thorpe, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Envirogold Global. Delighted to have you with us today, Mark.
Lovely to be with you, Andrew. Thank you.
Well, I'm delighted to be talking to you today, Mark, because usually we have a lot of mining companies on Minds and Money TV, but you're a technology company which is doing something a little bit different. Can you give us a bit of a brief overview about the company?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a company that has developed technology to recover precious, strategic, and base metals from VMS tailings. Our methodology allows us to break apart the pyrite, which is where most of the metal is hiding, and then through simple processes, recover the base metals and the precious metals. It's a very elegant solution, and we're starting work on our first project in Tasmania.
So that's very sort of exciting to hear. Going back a step, if I'm a mining company, what is my current sort of like solution, and then like how is your solution different to what I'm currently doing?
So, for example, in our first project, Andrew, the mining company that's operating has managed to recover 5% of the gold and 30% of the silver, plus some lead, zinc, and copper. Our process is able to recover 70+% of the gold, 90% of the silver, plus additional copper and zinc. So what we're doing is we're an add-on, we're an additional circuit to your existing process where you're unable to recover some of the metals. So for instance, in a flotation plant, we would add on and we would process the tailings as an additional circuit on the end, recover those metals that you can't get, and put a more benign, environmentally friendly tailings into your tailings storage facility.
And also, listening to your answer there, is it also feeds into the bigger picture that, when we talk about the mining industry today, it's all about energy efficiency. It's all about the energy transition. It's all about decarbonization and recycling. And it seems to be that your sort of solution is like, is going to become like a key part of that sort of like process.
And what we've found, Andrew, is that companies are approaching us in the pre-feasibility stage. So they're saying, hey, Mark, can you come and help us? Can you have a look at our projects? And they're following us all the way through, such that we're also being asked to look at reprocessing tailings that are actually in the tailings storage facility to recover the metals. And we can do that at obviously a much lower carbon footprint. And also to reduce the environmental liability of those tailings, because our process essentially removes the acid drainage potential of a lot of these tailings.
And I think there's just like linking into that is this presumably also helps mining companies even at the exploration stage in terms of their ESG reporting, because if they're showing to be partnering with a company such as yours, then that's probably going to help them get a higher ESG sort of like score, which might help them getting like funding at a later stage.
We think there's a fantastic opportunity with some of the exploration companies who are looking at older mines. We can partner with them to recover metal from the old tailings storage facilities, give them some cash flow while they're doing the exploration, and up their ESG scores. It's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, it seems to be an absolutely kind of like perfect solution. One sort of question which you kind of partly answered. Your company's called Envirogold Global, but obviously you've mentioned that you don't just sort of service gold mining companies.
Correct.
What metals can your process be used on?
Right now, we've done testing and we're doing a pilot plant in the ALS lab in Perth, Australia. And in that particular process, we're recovering gold, silver, zinc, and copper. We're also starting some test work on recovering nickel. And we think we can also work on some of the other sulfide minerals that are a little bit more complicated.
Okay, well, that's obviously like good news. That sort of covers like a lot of the key sort of metals in the energy transitions. That sounds absolutely fantastic. In terms of, I guess, your plans for the say next sort of 6 to 18 months, I know that's quite a long sort of like timelines, but do you have any sort of key goals or sort of milestones that you're looking to achieve within that period?
Yes, absolutely, of course. We complete the pilot plant testing, and then we will be updating our technical report. on the Tasmania project, on the Helia project. And then we will start our detailed engineering. And before the end of the year, we should be publishing our detailed feasibility study.
Okay, well, that's absolutely sort of like great to hear. And in terms of your sort of like your sort of scope of work, you mentioned you've got your project in Tasmania, but you're really looking to work and looking to partner with mining companies, whether they're in Australia, whether they're in Africa, whether they're in America. You're sort of very, very geographically agnostic, I'd imagine.
I'm completely geographically agnostic. Our first project is in Tasmania, in Australia. We also have a project signed up in Newfoundland, and we're talking to other potential projects on the west coast of Canada and also in Mexico.
Okay, that's kind of like quite a wide range. I know that sometimes mining companies, before they choose a technology partner, they're quite keen in not just learning a bit about the technology that you've explained very eloquently there, but also knowing a little bit about the management team's background. I'm just curious, what were you doing before you were at Envirogold?
Well, I actually grew up in a coal mining town in England, and I've knocked around the world for the last 30 years, living on 4 continents, working in over 40 different countries. And I've always been in ESG and in the technical part. So I'm not a geologist promoting something. I've worked in ESG for over 30 years. And one of my young guys on my team is always very happy to tell us that our team experience exceeds over 300 years in the mining business. So, and he only brings 5. So that tells you where we're sitting.
I think that's what's really great about your company is that often when I talk to people about ESG, they only think about it from the ESG investment angle. They don't think about it from the technology angle.
Yes.
I was talking to Carl Weatherall from Rethink CMIC, actually literally about like an hour or so ago, and he was saying that was a part that people often go and forget about, but there aren't that many companies that are sort of like addressing that sort of challenge of the ESG and technology and what needs to be done in that space, which again I think is what's really appealing to your
Yes.
company.
Well, and I am the chair of the board of the CMIC, so Carl and I go way back. And I've been involved in ESG, and it's the core of our business. If you look at what we do, we reduce the loadings or the potential loadings of heavy metals in the tailings storage facilities by making a saleable product. It's a very elegant approach. We reduce the environmental liability by reducing the potential for acidic drainage. And we're able to, through our process, precipitate out some of the more difficult metals like arsenic into a mobile form that are not soluble in water. So if you look at it from that perspective, we generate cash from the business. We partner with mining companies to solve their problems. And we've got that ESG focus as well.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure today, Mark, having you on Minds and Money TV. We look forward to hopefully seeing you at future events. And just like to go and thank you, Envirogold Global, and also Redcloud for bringing us this interview. Thank you very much for your time today, Mark.
Thank you, Andrew. It's been an absolute pleasure.